Hey y'all, so today is Sunday. It is May the 31st, and as you know, the last day of the month is a day when I personally clean all my altars, refresh my offerings, um, just clean and refresh the altar in general, and this is your reminder to do that if you are inclined. Also, before the end of the day, I will take a cleansing spiritual bath just to wash off any negativity or bad luck on the last day of the month, so that I can have greater luck, abundance, and health in the month of May. Now, we also know that if you're following me, you know that Sunday is also the day where I do a reading of some time at looking at the week ahead. And I've done bone readings, I've done tarot, and I've done Lenormand. So this week, I thought I would just take an astrological look at what's going on, and we will do that through the journey of the moon. Let me pull up my program here. Now I have a program called Astro Gold on my iPad, and I also have it on my iPhone, which I use to track my transits. So right now it is May 31st, 2020, and it is 10:01 a.m. Pacific time. And I'm going to show you this in a minute, but what we see right here is the moon has just entered Libra today. Before I show you this, what that tells me is that yesterday and probably the day before that, that means the moon was in Virgo. Now, when the moon is in Virgo, people are usually more humble. They want to be of service to others, and they're concerned with organizing and improving things. Now, what's interesting about that is that just yesterday, and I believe the day before, there were lots of demonstrations and protests, and yes, some looting going on in major cities all over the United States. And this was sparked by the incident in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where a white police officer, whose name I forget, but I'll never forget the image of him squatting down with his knee on that man's neck. He murdered a black man named George Floyd. I'm not going to call it a death. I'm going to call it a murder, just like what it is. And so while this pandemic has been going on, the Black Lives Matter movement may have sort of went into the background, or were people really focusing on staying safe and healthy and staying indoors. Everyone, there's white people, black people, and there's people on the other side opposing the Black Lives Matter movement and supporting the police. And some people believe that these are also people who are undercover agents who are going into these protests to spur things towards greater violence, so that Trump or big government can impose martial law and take power away from the people and give it back to big government. But anyway, we have the theme there with Moon and Virgo of people wanting to be of service to their community, to organize, to be helpful. Now today, the Moon entered Libra. And so when the Moon is in Libra, people's thoughts and feelings turn to balance. Libra represents the scales, and the scales are represented with justice. And so right now everyone is concerned with justice. Justice for George Floyd, justice for black people everywhere who have been the victim of racism and racial violence by white people or white supremacists. And so that's sort of a theme that we're going to see over the next couple of days, is people in general trying to bring about a greater equality and a greater balance in the world. They're also concerned with seeing that wrongdoers will be held accountable for their crimes against humanity, because black people are human. Black people are a part of humanity, and their lives matter. Right now, if you look at this, the moon, Let me get it back up here. I hit something right now, and I hope y'all can see this. The moon right here is forming a trine to Saturn, and Saturn is in Aquarius. So the moon in Libra is forming a trine to Saturn in Aquarius. So a trine is a type of aspect, and an aspect refers to how two planets are interacting with each other. You know, are they oil and water? Are they water and a grease fire? You know, it depends. And a trine is what's considered a soft or easy aspect. A trine is when the energy or urge of one planet is supportive of the energy or urge of another planet. And the symbol for a trine is a triangle, sort of like this. And I always think of a trine with that triangle as being sort of like a seesaw. You know, here's like the fulcrum, and then here's the two. So the two planets are on that seesaw. They're balancing one another and working with each other so that both sides sort of have fun. Now, the moon is all about feelings and emotions, and Saturn is all about the urge to find order and structure. And so what we're going to see here is people, I feel like the violence, the looting, and the demonstrations will calm down a little bit. And people will begin to be more organized, and they will organize in a better way. They will use their power more responsibly. People who are there to be agitators are going to be outed. We've already seen it. I believe I saw something on Facebook where if you see someone with a white armband, that means they're undercover or something. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just putting it out there. You'll have to do your own education. But what we're going to see is tempers cooling. Saturn rules the sign of Capricorn, and Capricorn is the worker, but he's also very conservative, withdrawing back, thinking long range, thinking, you know, we've got the initial rage has gotten out, and now people are thinking about what is the next step, what happens next, what happens after that, and after that, and after that, in order to come to a place in America and the world where there's greater equality and harmony among the people and among the races. So that's something that we can look forward to. Now I'm just going to move forward, and sometime on Tuesday, again today's Sunday, Tuesday the moon is going to enter into Scorpio, and Scorpio represents the researcher and the investigator. So I feel like this is now, that's the point where you're going to see people really digging into the past and patterns of, unfortunately, the perpetrator of the crime, but also the victim of the crime. I've already seen a couple of reports about the officer who was arrested and who for the murder of George Flynn and his past. I believe I also saw a story rather, that his wife has filed for divorce. So I feel like you're going to see more people digging into his past actions, his past complaints, his past record as a police officer. And this information is going to come into the consciousness of the general public. Unfortunately, I feel like people will also do the same thing with George Floyd. You're going to probably hear bad things about him. You're going to hear good things about him. But again, no matter, he was an unarmed man who was allegedly accused of using, I believe, a counterfeit $20 bill, which has not been proven one way or another. But the level of violence that was pushed toward him did not match the severity of the crime he was accused of committing. And so you're going to see a lot of people trying to dig into his past to make it seem like he was the worst person than he really was. Also on Tuesday, that trine between the moon and Saturn is going to turn into a square. Now a square is a hard aspect, meaning it's difficult. and a square really is a square in astrology. It's the symbol. And I see a square as a block that you have to overcome, or a hurdle. So when a planet forms a square to another planet, there's some sort of block there. The energy of this planet and the energy of this planet is sort of blocked, and they can't work together for whatever reason. And this causes a lot of tension, which builds up. So again, the moon represents our feelings and emotions, and Saturn is all about discipline, conservatism, structure, and order. So our feelings about the issue and the effort to bring structure, order, and improvement in an organized way are going to be at odds at each other. And with the moon in Scorpio, there's going to be a lot of information flying at us, a lot of comparison too. You know, you're going to see a lot of comparisons between, well, what this person did, does that make this right? What this, nothing makes what happened to George Floyd right. No amount of anything he did in the past makes his murder all right. But you're going to see a lot of people try to minimize this situation with facts. You're going to see people very passionate about how they express their feelings about what's going on, one way or another, either for good or bad, however you want to look at that. But the main theme that I see here is a lot of comparing apples and oranges in order to make things seem less severe than they were, or to make the victim more of a criminal, and to paint the murderer, the perpetrator, as someone who was just doing his duty or what have you. Let's see. Then we're going to move ahead. On Wednesday, the moon in Scorpio is going to form a trine to Mars in Pisces. And again, a trine is when the energy or urge of one planet is working in conjunction with the energy or urge of another planet. So again, the moon is all about our feelings, the trine is supportive, and Mars is all about our drive and action. So our emotions and our desire to act out are really going to work together here. Our emotions are going to give us the motivation to do something. A lot of people who sat back before and really, they may have felt one way or another, but they didn't really feel motivated to actually get up and do anything. There's going to be more protests, there's going to be more demonstrations. Anytime Mars is involved, there is the possibility for violence. There are power plays going on, and with the moon being in Scorpio, it's going to be, people are going to be driven by their deep emotions that they probably have been repressing. That's going to give them the drive to act out and demonstrate. And then we go ahead a little bit further. Keep going. And then finally on June the 5th, we have a full moon. And a full moon occurs when the sun and moon are exactly 180 degrees across from one another. They are forming an opposition. And an opposition is another hard aspect where I always think of those images of a cell separating from itself. It's pulling apart. So the energy or urge of one planet is pulling apart from the energy or urge of another planet, and each planet feels like the other is doing something to them that they can't control. And so on Friday, when the moon is full, we have the moon in 15 degrees Sagittarius, and we have the sun in 15 degrees Gemini. And so Gemini is all about our current environment, our neighborhoods, our community, our families. And Sagittarius is all about foreign people, foreign ideas, foreign concepts, foreign religions, anything that is unfamiliar to us. So we have a dynamic here of the familiar and the unfamiliar are pulling apart from one another and struggling to keep themselves separate, us and them. And what you're going to see is you're going to see people in general trying to separate themselves from other. You know, I'm not like those white people. I'm not like those black people. I'm proud of my Latino heritage. I'm proud to be gay. I'm proud to be Native American. It's all about pulling away. And the basis of this, I feel a lot of times, is fear. Fear of losing your identity, fear of losing your culture, but also fear of the unknown. People fear what they do not know. People fear what they do not understand. And, Gemini is all about our early upbringing. So a lot of times, prejudice and racial discrimination is something that we're taught. It's something that we, grow up in. I grew up in the South. I grew up in a place and a home where the N word was used to describe black people. Luckily, I was able to break away from that and break out of that mindset, but not everybody is so lucky. And everybody has their own inner prejudices and preconceived ideas and notions about other people, be they white, black, gay, Native American, Asian, Latino, what have you. So we need to take an inventory of our ideas and beliefs about other people and allow ourselves to be educated and allow ourselves the compassion to change, to break out of the mindset of this instilled racism and homophobia and transphobia or whatever it is that we hate or fear in others. With the full moon being in Sagittarius, the best way to work with this energy is to get out of your comfort zone. I know right now there's a pandemic going on. They're telling people to stay at home. The stay-at-home orders are being lifted here and there. So if that wasn't going on, this is the advice I would give people. I would tell people, try to practice getting out of their comfort zone. Explore a culture, religion, philosophy, or belief that they are unfamiliar with. Or one that they're mildly interested in and don't have a lot of information about. Read a book, read a website, meet someone who practices that religion or belief or from that culture. Talk to them. Allow yourself to be opened up and learn, because only through education can we help stamp out the fear of the unknown and the unfamiliar. With the full moon in Sagittarius, I would say if you can't travel, even if you just go to an unfamiliar neighborhood or business district in your town, maybe I know I'm lucky enough where I live that there's a lot of intermingling of cultures, and not every city is like that. Back home where I came from, we just had the little mom and pop stores and not a lot of, variety in culture. I think right before I left, maybe 15, maybe 20 years ago, we've just got a Chinese restaurant in our town. I did not have Chinese food until I was in my early 20s, and that was when a friend took me to a Chinese restaurant for my birthday. Can you believe that? But here where I live now, we have Chinese restaurants, we have Thai, we have Italian, we have I maybe call Indian. I was going to say Pakistani, Indian restaurant. So even in your own town or maybe a nearby city, if you're able to, I know there are restrictions going on, maybe go to a foreign restaurant and try some foreign food. Talk to the people who work there. Get to know them. If you can't get out, read. If you're watching this video, you have access to the internet. Read a book, read a website, read a blog about a culture or what have you that you're interested in and don't have a lot of information about. With the full moon in Sagittarius, I would say try to have a more optimistic view about life and people in general. Don't go around thinking that the world is out to get you and you have to put up these walls to protect yourself. Let those walls come down. Get to know the people around you. Get to know the world around you. Believe that people are good. Believe that not everyone's out to get you. Believe that not everyone is out to harm you. Believe in the goodness of people and the goodness of humanity. And not just only believe it, be a good person yourself. Be a good person. Let's see. I think that's about it as far as an astrological look at the week ahead. And also this week, I want to leave you with an affirmation that you can say to yourself when you're afraid, when you feel alone, when you are about to do something that scares you, but you're going to push yourself ahead to do it anyway. Whenever you have doubts about how you feel inwardly toward other races, how you feel when you're confronted, when your own prejudices and beliefs and predispositions about people who are different than you. I want you to say to yourself when you're afraid, I want you to say, I expect good things, and because I think it, it is so. I expect good things, and because I think it, it is so. I expect good things, and because I think it, it is so. And I want you to keep saying that to yourself all week. Make it your mantra. And what you're going to see is you're going to expect good things, and good things are going to happen to you, and good things are going to happen around you, and good things are going to happen for you. And you're going to be able to be a better person. You're going to be able to be a more loving person. You're going to be able to be a more loving and accepting person. And that's what the world needs right now. And so I just want to leave you with one final thought, because it can't be said enough, and that is Black Lives Matter. If you are black, understand that your life matters, and never be afraid to stand up for yourself and fight for your own lives. And white people, don't be afraid to use your power, your influence, and your privilege to fight for the rights and the lives of our black brothers and sisters. Anyway, until next time, I wish you all well, and I ask that you just simply be good people and do good things. Amen?